ladies, we'll jump right into our first message. And this one here goes like this. Says, hi, sisters. I met this lady a year ago, explored her, and eventually got her pregnant within a week. Before I could say jack, she had already informed my mom. My mom is a pastor and a very revered person in my community, and by virtue of her positioning, she quickly sent my family elders to do knocking on my behalf. After giving birth, she and my mom schemed to arrange a wedding. I played along just to please my mom, but I warned everyone that I wasn't ready and should not be blamed when it doesn't work out. No one listened. After the ceremony, I hardly slept at home. I was spending more time partying with friends. Some way, somehow, I realized I just wasn't cut out for marriage. No matter how hard I tried to change never came. Okay. 1 year after our second child was born, the woman sought transfer and left with the kids. It was then that I started feeling their absence. In fact, I was depressed by their absence and begged her every day to come back. I almost ended my life because I was lonely and felt ready to settle back with her and to do things right. She insisted she won't and that I should rather join her, but the nature of my work wouldn't allow me to. I'm now a completely changed person, very active in church, ready to manage my home, but she's also not ready to compromise. It's been 4 years now, and she's still insistent on not returning. I recently met a very kind lady who helps and takes care of me, washing, cooking, cleaning. We've never been intimate, but I've fallen deeply for her and I want to marry her. I recently proposed divorce to my wife, but she called my bluff until I served her the notice. She's now feeling sorry and wants us to work it out, yet doesn't want to return to me. I know myself very well, and I don't do well with this long-distance relationship thing, and any attempt to stay in the marriage will not help me. All I want is for my wife and kids to be with me, something she's not willing to do. What should I do? All right, so that's our first message for today. Claudia, I'm going to come to you so you can weigh in on this first.
This is an interesting one.
Yes.
And the issues are quite layered for me. But what struck me at the beginning is the sexist and, in my opinion, very degrading way he goes like, I was exploring her. How do you describe a woman? And it's so endemic in our society, the way we talk about women and the women and men, the way men, let me be more specific, the way men talk about women they have sex with. So he went to explore her like she's some deserted country that needed to be discovered.
Discovered.
Like
Christopher Columbus. Jinx, you owe me a soda.
And I'm thinking, why do you even... So first of all, he doesn't respect this woman. And the rest of the text goes to prove that he has no respect for her. And he also plays into the societal narrative of women being so desperate for marriage, they con men into an unwilling association. Like he didn't like the marriage. Mm-hmm. And he also plays into it by saying, I was forced into it. I told them I didn't like it because my mom was a pastor. I was conned, and they schemed, also making it seem like the lady wanted it, he didn't want it. And that also, again, is another issue we have where if men want to stray away from behavioral commitment to relationship, they make it seem like it's not the idea. Meanwhile, they are actively participating in the whole process that is leading to the marriage. So you marry her, you didn't change, you still continue being you, but in another breath, enjoying the benefits of the marriage. You weren't being a husband, you weren't performing your responsibility as a husband, but this woman was giving her all. She gave you children. And again, I wonder why, and it's also common that your friend is having marital issues. You are discussing it with her. The next time you see she's pregnant. And then I'm thinking, this problematic man that we are all brooding over, you've gone to have a second child with him. So the wife in itself, she's also a project that has to be discussed and broken into. Because I'm wondering why this man is making it seem like you were never his choice. And from the way he has described it, he was a very problematic husband, but he still went on to have a second child with him. But I admire that she packed and she left. I mean, she found herself at the end of the day and then she left. But then the other side that confuses me is she wants to stick to this marriage that wasn't working, that I'm so happy she's moved on, she's considering her career and her kids. She moved, you convinced her and told her to come back. She said she wouldn't come back. And you served her divorce, and then she said she doesn't want the divorce, but she won't come back. This woman is also a very confused woman who has met her match, another confused man. But what comes to me is that this man is not looking for love. First, he's looking for a facilities officer, someone to take care of his house, check the windows. Right. He's looking for a catering officer, someone to cook for him. He's looking for a baby production machine, someone to make him feel like he's a father. So that the love and the commitment part of it, from which we go and look for companionship, those are not the things he's looking out for. And I always say that the average, and my emphasis on average Ghanaian man, if they were given the services of a cleaner, a washing woman.
Oh no.
Claudia, we lost your sound for some reason.
No.
We lost your sound. I don't know if you can hear me.
She can hear you.
Okay.
She can't
but,
hear you.
you know, let's just bring it in studio. We'll go back to Claudia when we can't hear you, Claudia. Yes, we cannot hear you. She's gesturing. Anyway, so Drea, let's just pick your thoughts on everything.
These two people deserve each other. Please, leave that other girl you haven't had sex with. Do not explore her. Like, say, first of all, when you go and explore for oil or anything, drill, whatever it is you're looking for, you will find. So you went to explore and you found a pregnancy. Take some responsibility. Let's start with that. This whole thing of, and my mother, his mother too is part. Like, how do you scheme with a baby mama to marry? And he actually, if indeed the story is true, he actually said, this is not for me. It was from then that there shouldn't have been a marriage. And there's no written law anywhere that if you have someone is pregnant for you, you should marry them. It's the wrong reason to marry. Okay.
But
so I feel as if, and
her son has impregnated somebody.
And so,
no, she's trying to save face. That's what this is.
Exactly. But so you pulled in somebody's daughter to save your face. You didn't bring up your son well.
Let's start with that. Right?
Yes, let's start with that. So you, the mother yourself, take some responsibility. Because if you had brought your son up well, he would not have gone to explore a woman over a week and made her pregnant in that 1 week. He's fertile too on top. His fertility today, he didn't use protection too on top. Like how much is protection? So you didn't bring the boy up well. He goes to make this mistake, and you compound it by making an even bigger mistake by marrying off somebody who has said to you that he's not ready. This is not for me. Okay. People grow into love, and I think that that's what has happened. Or grow into of course, absence makes the heart fonder. So she's left. If you've left auntie, and you say you won't come back, and he says divorce me, is it not because you wanted your freedom? That's why you left. Isn't divorce the freedom? But you say no. Selling the goat, holding the tail. That's what this is. You've left. The man says, okay, you've sold me the goods. Leave my tail and let me go. He said, oh, no, I'm holding. So the goat is bleating and trying to walk away, but you're pulling it. Meanwhile, you say, I don't want it. They deserve each other. Both of them are, like she said, both of them are confused. They deserve each other. So auntie, if you are listening, please go back to your husband. Say, you to find a way and find a job where she is so that the two of you can be together. The third girl there, please leave her alone. Don't bring her into this, your mess. You have 2 children with this woman. Make it work. As for the mother, you too, you. I'll come to you another time.
What time? We can do have time.
Mothers, stop forcing your children to marry because they've made somebody pregnant. It is not a good enough reason. This is what will happen. Now there are 2 children whose father is in one town, whose mother is in another town. One says, I want to divorce. This is the mother's fault.
Yeah. I mean, this is immaturity across the board. The guy is not ready to grow up and man up and take responsibility. He wants to have his cake and eat it. He thinks life should be as he wants it to be. you decided to explore this lady, no responsibility. Your mother had to man up and save face and force you to marry this woman. Still, you couldn't get some
sense.
Yeah. And I'm worry now. You see what I mean? Got you married. You claim not to love this girl, but when you're busy taking your niggas off and shagging her, at which point in time, and this is a clear case of love. Sex isn't love, and love isn't sex. You don't love her, so why are you leading her on? Couldn't you buy a condom? You got her pregnant, and other people had to let you be responsible. Having said that, you're married in your matrimonial home. What if you say you'll make it work? And now chick 2 is also like, okay, at the end of the day, I can tell you don't love me. I don't want to go and do born. So let me just have my 2 kids with you and just get out of here. Now she's out, minding her own business. All of a sudden,
your love has come.
Your love has come.
Yes,
you're like, oh, I'm lonely. Oh, no. Now I really love her. So you love her. You've asked her time and again, come back to me. At what point in time are you going to stop being selfish? You, dear, can't you pack your bags and go and fight for your marriage? Can't you pack your bag? So what makes your work so important more important than hers? Like, at which point in time are you going to grow up, my guy? And like, really, what advice do you want us to give you? Like, sit back and read what you gave to us and reflect. Think about it. Ask yourself, if you were this girl, how would you feel? Or if you were, if somebody treated your sister like this, how would you feel? Like, I'm tired of all of this. You've brought children into this world. You're not even thinking that, okay, my wife has taken these kids away. At which point in time am I going to be a part of their lives? Like, you and your wife, you can stop your whole concerts and at least focus that challenge. Like, because of the kids, I'm going to respect you and I'm going to try to live with you to make it work. You can't. I mean, your case is not a lost case. There are incidences whereby, yes, they probably started off not in love, but because you're civil, because you know that because of the children, we'll make it work. Yes, I don't love you, but at the end of the day, I'm able to shag you. So I can start from, at least the sex is great. How about that? You gave us 2 kids. How about that? And take it one day at a time. Master, you have to man up. Man up, if it means that you go there, you haven't even tried. And to add insults to injury, this girl, like Claudia was saying, you're looking for a facilities manager. You've got a new girl who is cooking for you, who is cleaning for you, who is making your bed for you, who is doing, and then all of a sudden you're in love with her because she's doing all of these things for you. I'm sure that when she's bending and cleaning
for free back in the day,
and adding the sex. Thank you. I'm sure that when she's cleaning the floor, he's imagining all sorts of things. Hey, this girl, Massa, you will fear him. You're going to get this other girl pregnant. It's what kind of situation? Like, really, grow up. I beg you, really. Like, I don't mean to be harsh, but it is the reality, and you really need to start looking at things differently. If I were you, I will pick up myself, go to my wife, sit down with her, and have a conversation if you claim to still love her. Because he said when she left, it's like, reality check. I think I want my wife back. So
actually, he doesn't even say he loves her. He said all I want is
my wife and children back with me. Okay,
that's all he wants. So in fact, at no point did he say that he loves her. No.
Look at this. Okay, so you don't love him. But back to what I was saying. Until when are you going to stop being selfish? If you want them as much as you claim you want them, have you even gone to see where they are? Do you know where they live? Do you know how she's taking care of the children? Are you even paying for their fees? Can you pick yourself up, go out there and go and find out how they're doing, and also see that maybe perhaps you can also find a job and you can also settle with your wife where she is at and make things work.
But you see, I think, I keep going back to his mother, because he's not the only man who feels this level of, like Claudia was saying, level of is entitlement. He's not the only man who feels, I explored a lady and I made her pregnant and they schemed to marry me. And first of all, you're sounding very weak.
Thank you.
Because at some point you could have put your foot down and said, no, this is not for me. I won't do it.
Exactly.
You didn't do that. But my point is, we're raising such, and I think the onus lies on us as women and mothers who have sons. We need to raise better men.
True.
That's what it
Very
is.
important.
We need to raise men who recognize the need to take responsibility for their mistakes, own up to them, and fix them. That's what we need to do. He comes off as this, and I told them, I told them that it wasn't for me, so nobody should blame me for what? But we should blame who? When you were taking, I had a friend who, I was always complaining, and she and her husband are always fighting. Then she had one baby. And she and her husband was she came to visit, she was pregnant, and I was telling my mom, and one day my mother said, sweetie, if they were fighting so hard, how is she pregnant?
Thank you.
Yoshi and Sunny.
You fear some.
That's all.
If they were fighting so much, you actually have 2 kids. Charlie, take some responsibility.
All right, Claudia, we lost you there for a second. I don't know if you can pick up from where you left.
I don't know where I was cut off, so it's a bit confusing whether she's
It was really towards the end. You had talked about he doesn't really want her. He just wants someone to manage his home, basically.
He wants her for the services.
Yeah.
He's not in love. And let's not conflate love with wanting services from someone. Because he missed the free things he was getting when the woman left. And he was okay, thinking he had missed his wife, until this new woman came along and started providing the same services. That guy is not in love.
No.
And I don't know why. I think what is confusing me the most is why the wife still wants to be married to him.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem.
I can tell you why.
And so for me, he should stop being selfish, because I feel, and unfortunately, he's the average, and I'm using average in very cautious terms, the average Ghanaian man, and he feels he deserves these things. I would advise him to hire a cook, hire a house cleaner, and see if he would want his wife back. He should find someone, pay them to render all these services.
He has found it.
In fact, he's that's why he wants to marry her. He wants to marry her. So he's basically, we have to marry.
Yeah, he's looking for service providers.
He's jumping around looking for free services from women. So he should work on himself. He needs to rethink manhood, companionship, and the value of a wife and the expectations of a wife, because he's doing it all wrong. And he's mastered the art of blaming everybody by himself. So he blamed the woman for getting pregnant, although they did it together.
Thank you.
And he said he was exploring her, using that degrading language. And then he blamed the mother and wife for making them marry him. And now he's blaming the woman for not wanting to come back. The question is, why did she leave in the first place? Have you solved that problem?
Yeah.
The problem that made her go away, have you solved it? You claim you've changed. And your change is very suspicious. You are lonely, and so you think you've changed. Work on yourself and leave that woman alone for now. And like I said, the services that is making you love women, find a paid person to do it and see if these 2 women, you even want to spend your life with them. Your taste might even be different. But because they're offering free services, you think they are your taste. Evaluate your life. And also think about the things that make you a man and the things that make a happy home. And then understand if there are other things that these women can give you apart from cooking, cleaning, washing. Because these are so basic. They are so basic, but as a society, we've succeeded in making it so crucial in a companionship that so many men, when they have these services, might not even think of marriage. Your mother, a mother goes to the son's house, sees that the house is dirty, says, marry. Get married. There's no food in your house. Get married. Get married. No, but
what you need is a wife.
So, yes. And so the wife, like I said, comes in, takes over laundry services, takes over cleaning the house, takes over cooking, and now he's even managing his diary for him. So he even gets a free secretary around him. And then he gets to go on in his career and advance in his, and that's why women are left behind in society. Once they marry, if they don't have a supportive spouse, everything falls aside because childcare, domestic care, and it's based on these principles that society evaluates them as being a good wife and being a good mother. And the men are taking advantage of these free services. They don't even value it. They say, I do everything at home. What do? I pay the bills. How is the house clean? Who cooks? They don't place any value on housework. And we women have also bought into this narrative that is working against us. And even when we meet men, that is what we do to audition for them to accept us as girlfriend and wives.
Audition,
So sad.
Audition,
we calibrate our thinking about what we want as women and what constitutes being a good wife and being a good mother. And the concept of partnership itself, this guy doesn't understand the concept of partnership. If he gets together with a wife, it will go back to what it was before. He should work on himself. Your wife is not your cleaner and your cook. And like you said, she has a job. So I suspect she was even pitching in financially. So you are even enjoying the benefits of the so-called marriage that you said you didn't want, You are even benefiting more than the woman who you claim conned you. Stop being selfish. Allow the woman to live the life.
I want to talk about the woman because Claudia made a point and I said I know the answer. Why she's saying she doesn't want the divorce. Right. Again, it comes to society. You see, getting divorced, the judgment. Yeah. Getting divorced is such a, hey, she wasn't able to keep her man. And so rather than leave the man who's obviously a douche, she wants to stay. But you can tell that she really doesn't want to stay because she doesn't want to come back. Right. Because indeed, if she wanted a marriage, she'd be willing to sacrifice. And I'm not saying that's what she should do.
Right.
But indeed, if she wanted a marriage, she'd say, okay, he says he's changed. Okay, blah, blah, blah. He's actually saved me. I want this marriage. Let me sacrifice the job and go back. She really doesn't. Her worry is the tag of being a divorcee.
Right.
And the judgment. That's what her worry is.
How about maybe she was just tired because in the beginning, right? She
seemed tired. Let him go.
Let him go.
So why are you
but
going
she
back?
seemed
If
as though she was the one who was really
back?
into him. Check this out in the beginning. Like she was really into him in love, and she didn't mind getting married to him because da. So she had been in the relationship, done that, and she's like, she's had enough. So she decided to go. But at the end of the day, for a woman to leave like that, she's financially independent. It means like we're all saying. He does nothing for her.
Exactly.
So she
should let him go.
She should let him go. She should let him go.
Absolutely.
She should let him go. That is, but also going back to the fact that until this guy wakes up and understands what it means to love, the cycle will continue. He doesn't have what it takes to love a woman, to be a good father, to even take care of his kids. Because right now, this woman is taking absolute responsibility for the kids. And he's sitting here saying, Masa, come back home. Like, really?
And my question is, he didn't even mention that I used to go and visit my wife and children.
Thank you.
That's the text.
So
all
true.
he wants is me.
My guy ultimately grow up.
What am I getting? Young man.
Mommy is probably paying for this new person who is coming to cook and
I don't want to
and
talk
all
about
of that.
money.
Like, it's a mess.
Yeah, but I mean, and I hear everything you ladies say, but the truth is, if he wants the divorce, I mean, he seems to have taken this thing far. You've served her and everything.
Papers.
And she's not willing to. He can still go ahead, right?
Yes, he can.
So
Judgment can be granted in absentia.
Yes. So that's what he really wants, but only if that's what he really wants.
Which is why he's changing his mind.
Yeah, because then he says, but she's not willing to come back.
Yes,
so
all I want is my wife and children with me.
To come back. So what does he really want?
Look, I say the two of them,
but maybe this girl,
the new girl or the wife,
maybe this wife has a bit of love in herself for the guy, maybe. And maybe that's why she doesn't want to divorce him.
But doesn't want to stay with him.
But doesn't want to stay with him.
That makes sense.
Olivia,
if you have
I don't know, I can't.
If you have a little love for somebody, the father of your children, and he served you papers, serving papers, you realize that it's not a bluff. Yeah. Like he's gone to lawyer, the papers have been drawn. You will come back. If indeed there's a little love, you will come back. In fact, even if you don't resign, you probably take time off and come and try. You will find a way. But this one, you're not. They deserve each other. The two of them.
The guy said that the woman was
trying to make it work. They are both confused. I don't know what the two of them are getting out of this union, hanging on to something so toxic. Like, I don't get her. Both of them, they need to stay away from each other and figure out their lives on healthy path.
Or stay with each other and not go and contaminate other people's children.
Thank you. True.
Right. It's Sister on 97.3 City FM. Really, what do you think this man should do? Send us a WhatsApp, 054-998-6996. Couple of comments. Obaya says, brother, you need to put your ego aside and make that move. Make your wife suffer. You made your wife suffer and unhappy, so she left. You only realized what you had only after she left. What prevented you from going to her and making right what you made wrong? Since you claim you have completely changed and want to work on your marriage. You weren't ready to compromise nor sacrifice, and yet you're ready to jump into another woman's bed. You think you've fallen in love because your wife won't do same. That's you being selfish right there. Brother, forget about this new woman. Put in the hard work, 100% to save your marriage and keep that home. Sandra says, brah, you've fallen deeply for some other woman and you want to marry her, and you still want your wife and kids back?
Thank you.
So if your wife decides to come back now, what happens to the lady you claim to have fallen deeply for? Ikea says, I don't think she would have opted for a transfer if you treated her well. You're partly to be blamed for how things have turned out in your relationship. Getting another transfer back won't be that easy since she was the one who asked for the transfer. I think you need a lot of convincing to do to get her back. Better still, you could also join her by getting a transfer to where she is. That is, if you really want to work things out. Dorothy says, you're a very selfish guy. You acted irresponsibly and neglected your duties. You don't miss your wife and kids. You just miss having someone around who will cook and clean for you. That's why you are in love with a new lady. I don't have any advice for you, but I have an advice for your wife, and it's this. She shouldn't continue doing... she should, I think you want to say. She should continue doing what makes her happy. And finally, Pearl says, son of Adam. Son of Adam. Son of Adam. How many times did I call you? Please let the innocent woman be. You've put her through a lot and you expect her to forget so soon? You knew you weren't ready for marriage, but you were busy exploring her body. You better compromise or continue with your lonely life. As for the new lady you're thinking is better than your wife, dear. Massa, I know my gender, pa. We can pretend. It will end in tears, pair. Forget it. M for Medasi. Come on. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back.